Hi guys, what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about decoupage papers. Pros and cons, big and small, different weights, sizes, what you can use it on, different finishes, different ways to adhere it to whatever project you're doing. So many different types. So let's just get started to talk about papers. Whether you want a large piece or smaller pieces that you can cut apart, or something even like this. It's in block. You can pick your size and the images you like. There is so much out there and available that there's probably something for everyone, no matter what it is that you're doing. Some of these large ones are absolutely gorgeous if you're doing a larger piece. And this is an 18-pound paper. So for something like this, I would use a slow gel dry medium, or I would use a liquid patina. After you start adhering it down, you're gonna wanna use a piece of plastic or saran wrap, a soft plastic bag to rub it so you do not rip your paper. This is a thinner paper. They even sell a thinner type tissue paper that you can use, and that you still have to be very, very careful with. When you're going to heavier papers, like this, I generally use Mod Podge. I want to use something thicker that's really going to adhere well. I still might use a piece of plastic to rub my bubbles out, or a credit card to help smooth it out when I get it on. Because when your paper gets wet, it's going to want to start crinkling and bubbling. If you're cutting just small elements, you could just use your regular old Aleene's glue or a glue stick or something else if it's just a small element on something. The one thing you need to be mindful of is when you reseal it, it's going to be wet again. And when it's wet again, if you're putting a liquid sealer on it, it may want to bubble up. But most of the time, when it dries, it flattens back out. If not, put a piece of parchment paper over the top, iron it, and you're gonna get a nice smooth look all over again. So there are just different ways to use your papers. So a project like this is just a heavy cardstock or a chipboard. And I covered this piece to give me the beautiful color in the background and added elements to the top of it. So you can see it's just on a cardstock. Here is a paper mache egg we had done. And with something like this that has curves, I'm doing it in strips. Otherwise, it's really hard to get it on there and you're gonna have too many wrinkles in it and it just looks like a mess. So if you do this in strips, anything that's a different shape, it really works much better. Same thing, you have to work on your edges. So I laid the top down, made little slits on the sides, and brought it down and around to cover it. So when you have edges, you need to be mindful of how you're going to cover them, because you just don't want them all crinkled up or it'll be very bunchy there. So I'm just trying to show you that you can decoupage on any shape or size or curve, anything that you can think of. It just may take a little more work and a little more time to get a nice smooth look, but it is possible and it really isn't hard. We used a vellum, and we put vellum inside of this little lantern and we covered it with decoupage paper. It's really cute because it lights up. You can see through the paper and the vellum. This was another paper project. And cut out all of our different elements and just layered them on there. So that's another fun way to use your decoupage paper. You can layer and it almost looks like a mixed media. A book cover, something as simple as the front of a book where you tear out elements and layer them on top of a book. I've done tiles. And what I found was fun with tiles. The easiest way I found to do these was to use a heavy-duty spray adhesive. Use a spray adhesive on the tile, carefully lay down my paper, then I sealed them with satin sealer, a liquid sealer. You can do furniture on bigger pieces. But this was fun. I had actually taken my decoupage paper and did an image transfer with it instead. Then I sealed it with several coats of a liquid sealer. I probably wouldn't put it in the washing machine, but it could easily be wiped off if you needed to. We used steam machine, ironed it on to a fabric bag, and then I actually just sealed the front of it. Once again, I wouldn't throw it in the washing machine, but you could wipe this down very easily. Decoupage pieces, and then I sealed it with iron-on heat and vinyl. The background, I used this pretty paper and I added a couple transfers to the top and used heat and vinyl also. So you really want to think about that. Some of your papers you could use just as a background for a project that you might be adding another image to or stamping on top of. So here we had decoupaged onto glass. And I actually did paint my window white first. Because I find with a lot of the papers, if you really want them to pop, you want a lighter background behind. Otherwise, you may not see because the light will come through and you won't see the image as well. This is just a cute frame where I decoupaged paper on the outside of the frame. So remembering when you use papers, if your paper is not heavy enough, you need something stable behind it to make it work, like we did with the lantern, having to put it on vellum. Okay, and you know, we all need 3D cutouts. So take your favorite gal and you can put her in your garden or in your house or whatever you would like. So recently we talked about stamping your cardboard to make it not so cardboardy. But look, you can also add decoupage pieces, and look how much interest that adds. We had also done writing stations. So whatever it is you have, just looking at this, but you could think of so many different things that you might want to cover. Decoupage, it's a fun, fast project, and you can just transform all your pieces. This is another project we did where I put the decoupage paper behind the glass so you have a beautiful image. So what I did is I put my adhesive on the back side, and then I put my decoupage paper face up so it shows through the glass, whether it's on here or on a plate. What a fun way to decorate. And look at this project. We had actually used some saws we had, and we did these. I thought this would be fun if we nailed it to a wall and used it as a magnet. And we put it on the top of this very, very rustic desk right here. We took one block of one of our recycled papers and we cut it apart so we could decoupage it on the side of each of these books. You still could put a little book plate on here so you would know what the books are. Whether you're putting it on books, on glass, on wood, on furniture, on fabric, on cardstock, there are so many ideas. Whether you need to seal it with a wax or a polyurethane, a heat and vinyl, there are so many options also. So you really need to do a little research on what white paper you're using, what is the best decoupage medium, but there are so many limitless ideas. I carry recycled papers and my Monahan papers. So those are the two that I'm the most familiar with. But you can look around, there are so many images that you can find in any shape and size. But I hope you guys give this a shot. Have fun.